What is up, my fellow budget travelers? In today's video, I'm taking you into Boston, and I suggest you take the train. That's going to be your easiest way in because Boston drivers are crazy. They call them. But that being said, I still suggest you do rent a car because there are so many things around Boston that you just have to go and see. I'll make that a whole nother video, so make sure you check out that at the end of this video. But for now, let's head past Salem. Yes, Salem is right next to Boston. And let's jump into my top 10 things that I think you should see when you get off the train in Boston. We were able to knock all of these off in a day, so it's definitely doable for you to walk all of these in a day. And while you're walking, you're going to see these really cool old school trolleys. So if you want to see more of Boston than what I'm going to show you, you can totally take one of these sightseeing tours. There's a couple of different ones, like this one goes into the water and out of the water. It's called the duck boat. They're so cool. But for this video, since we're walking, I want to show you some of the history of Boston, some of the cool places to go and eat, some things in Boston that you just need to try that make the city classic. And even if you're only able to do like 5 things on this list, it's really going to show you what Boston is all about. So follow me and let's start off with number 10. Boston Common is a park in Boston that is huge. It's kind of like the Central Park of Boston, and it's also the first subway that was built in all of America that drops off here in Boston Common. There are a number of water fountains and monuments scattered throughout the park, including this new one that honors Martin Luther King Jr. and his wife, and it talks about all about love and the importance of love. There's also a cool carousel in this park, but we didn't make it that far. We were heading in the other direction, and it was kind of fun because we stumbled upon this Asian festival. So you never know what's going to happen here. As you're walking through the park, you never know what you're going to stumble upon. As you're walking through the park, you'll see a number of souvenir shops and things, but you're going to see similar souvenirs throughout all of Boston, so just wait for the right price before you buy. Moving on to number 9, it's called the Liberty in Boston, and this is a luxury hotel, but we're not there for the hotel part. Guys, this used to be a prison. Can you believe it? Like, this used to be a prison and now it is a hotel. So just for like history's sake and to say you walked in an actual prison in Boston, like imagine all the history that could be going on here or all the ghosts that could possibly be roaming these hallways. But this is a brand new hotel and they have all these really cool features inside. So I want you to just walk in and just get a taste of some of the history of the prisons and stuff. And again, this is free to walk in. So it's really cool to see how they put the decorations into the cell blocks. I mean, the cell block numbers are still up there. Isn't that crazy? They even have the old school police walk above head. So it's pretty cool to just walk in and be like, wow, this is like some history in here. It's also totally worth it to stop and get a drink at the Alibi Bar. You can have a drink inside a cell, and they have celebrity mugshots. At number 8 is the Boston cream pie. I'm taking you over to where it was first invented and where you can still get them to eat. There's a bunch of really fun stuff right around here, like the old town hall and this old church over here. You could actually hear organs coming out of it sometimes, which was pretty cool. The King's Chapel, it's called. But we're going into this hotel here, the Omni Parker House. And this is where the first Boston cream pie was invented, guys. So you can still go in here. You're just going to hang a left. And they have it in their little gift shop area. You can buy them fresh. They're refrigerated. Some of them have coconut on them. Some of them have nuts. They have a couple different versions. They also have a little coffee shop in here. So it's pretty cool. Number 7 is kind of a 2-in-1 because I want you to have a Lime Ricky over here on the Greenway. There's a bunch of different things that happen over here all the time. They've also got a bunch of shops, a bunch of food trucks, there's a carousel. So this park is really pretty and it's down by the water, but the real reason I want you to come down here is to try a Lime Ricky. Now this is usually a non-alcoholic drink. You can think of it as Boston lemonade, but it's made with limes. But if you come over here to Boston Harbor City Cruises, they have Lime Ricky's cocktails. So you can catch a refreshing drink while watching the Godzilla come in and out of the harbor. There's a bunch of other ones that come in and out, but this one is a speed ship, so it's always fun to see bouncing on the waves out in the harbor. At number 6, we're going to head over to the marketplace. This area is huge and there is so much stuff going on all the time. They've got street performers, they've got little shops. There is so much shopping and food in this area. You're going to be able to find whatever you're looking for.
We'll start to rain from this area onto road. Lean back. Everybody count with me. 3.
While you're exploring the area, make sure you go into the customs house. This is the original customs house and they have so much history all over the walls. You'll learn so much in this building, and they've also got some pretty cool souvenirs as well. If you walk back towards the water, you'll see some famous shoes that are on the ground. There's some famous Celtics basketball players' shoes that you can compare your shoe size to. If you go behind the customs building, you'll see this guy. He probably looks really familiar. Good old Sam Adams. They've got some Sam Adams on tap right across the street from the customs house. So make sure you get some of that as well. And right around the corner from that is the spot where the Boston Massacre took place. At number 5, we're going back to where we originally landed, over in the Boston Garden, or they call it TD Bank Garden. If you have time while you're here, try and catch a hockey game or a basketball game. It is such a fun time here, and you can also stop in the pro shop. We really made out this trip with some vintage gear, which I was so excited about, but this stadium is epic. They also have a bunch of memorabilia and stuff inside the shop, like a jersey wall, and this is also where you're going to catch the train to head back to wherever you came from, and they have an unlimited pass for $10. Now let's head back to some history, and that is going to be all the historical ships that Boston has to offer. While you're heading down to where all the ships are, check out these bridges, guys. They are so cool and modern, and I thought this one looked like angel wings. I don't know about you guys, but what do you think? Let me know in the comments. So if you don't want to go all the way across the bridge over to the USS Constitution, you can see it from this park, but it's totally worth it. This is actually the world's oldest naval ship that is still afloat. Isn't that crazy? And then you have one of my favorite memories from Boston when I was a kid is going on the ship, like it's a replica tea party ship, and you get to throw the tea over into the water. So you get to feel like you were there in history, and it's just a really cool experience that if you have the time, go for it. But it is a replica ship. Otherwise, go see the USS Constitution because that is crazy history. Moving on to another of the best 10 places to go in Boston. Number 3 is Charles Street and Acorn Street. And these two streets are super iconic. Boston is known for these beautiful streets. You'll see people taking wedding photos here or Instagram photos. It's just such an aesthetic vibe. You're going to love it. Acorn Street is so pretty that it's the most photographed street in all of Boston. Now, if you're in Boston and you only have a couple hours to kill, you have to see the historical gravestones. I like to try and find the oldest one that I can find in the graveyards. But guys, this is where a lot of our founding fathers are all buried. You've got Samuel Adams' grave, Paul Revere, John Hancock. I mean, the list goes on and on. The oldest grave that I found this time was from like 1500s. I want to say like 1581 or something like that. I should have taken a photo of it, but we were walking around and just exploring. But it is so interesting to me to see how people were buried throughout the ages. Like you start with these really small gravestones and then you move on to these really elaborate like chambers. It's really interesting, and it's also cool because people put rocks and pennies, stuff like that on there. If anybody knows the real reason behind people doing this, put it down in the comments because I'm curious. I think it's just like a good luck thing, but could mean something different. Let me know in the comments if you know what it means. But it's just so cool to see all of our historical founders and just see them in real life. You know, these were real people who really created our country, made it such a great place that it is today. And side note, no, this is not Benjamin Franklin. This is his brother, I think. But it's a really cool gravestone, so I had to put it in here. But the Benjamin Franklin that we all know is buried in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And the number one thing I think you should do while you're in Boston is walk the Freedom Trail. It will take you to all 16 of the most historical sites in Boston, but it starts at the Old Church, which is where Paul Revere famously hung 2 lanterns to signal that the British were coming, 1 by land or 2 if by sea. So he hung 2 lanterns in that very church. So that is so cool to start there on the Freedom Trail. They've got a statue of Paul Revere there. And there's a red line on the ground for you to follow to get the start of the trail going. And it will take you to a number of the sites that I talked about in this, but these were just like the top 10 that I think you should do if you're in Boston and you only have a set amount of time. Otherwise, if you have all the time in the world, definitely do the whole Freedom Trail, but definitely make sure you see this start of it because this is the most famous area. That church is such like an iconic thing in American history. Paul Revere is there. So as I said before, we saw Paul Revere's grave. So follow this red line and just think about how many other people walked those very same steps on their walk to freedom. This area is also really cool because it's part of Boston's Little Italy. So there's a ton of little restaurants and things over here and really cool architecture. So make sure you check that out. And if you're looking for more things to do in the Boston area, check out this other video here because I'll show you all the things that you need to see while you're in the area. You're not going to want to miss it. You got to go to New Hampshire. You can see Maine across the border. Got to go to Plum Island, all kinds of things. I'll tell you all about it in the next video, and I'll see you there.